What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. I am here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Friday, August 8th, 2025. My name is Chris Drummond. I am a freelance sports reporter based out of upstate New York here and proprietor of this podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder, where I bring individuals on to talk about their why and get to know them outside of their occupation. I got a very special guest that's coming on with me today. She's working for the Queen City Press, been working with them ever since 2020. She's an FC Cincy beat writer as well, but she's been all over Ohio. There's no place in Ohio that she hasn't been writing for, whether it's high school, college, pros, or whatever. Her name is Laurel Pfahler, and she is here and she's been a journalist for many years, and we're going to talk to her about her why of getting into journalism and also ask her some get to know you questions. So, Laurel, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm very honored that you wanted to speak to me. So thank you for having me on.
No, no doubt. I'm honored that you have accepted my invitation. No doubt about that. So I'm very happy. My first question to you is the same question that I have for all of my guests here on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast that come on. And it's simple. What is your why? Why do you do what you do? Did you have any role models or any inspirations growing up? But ultimately, what is your why for getting into sports journalism?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of my why, I would say, has evolved over the years. I originally got into it. It's as simple as my mother was an English teacher. I grew up in a house learning to love writing.
Hmm.
And I also played sports and loved sports. I loved being around athletes. I loved
Yeah.
just, once I was not playing sports, I loved just kind of getting in the mind of like what makes these athletes tick, wanting to bring their stories to the fans. And so I originally wanted to be a teacher like my mom, and I realized that's not for me. I don't really have the patience for for kids in the way that I have kids, so I do have some patience, but I
Right.
don't know that I could manage a class full of them. So, and let's see, my sophomore year of high school, my English teacher also was in charge of our journalism program. And yeah, it really does go back to high school. I developed a really strong foundation in journalism through that English teacher who reached out and said, "You've got to take my journalism class." And I
Hmm.
realized I could put together two of my passions with writing and sports and make it into a career. So I went off to Ohio University and studied the craft there, and just been doing it ever since. So in the beginning, it was really about molding together my passions. Now, so I've been through. I was a newspaper writer for on staff at two different newspapers early in my career, and then ended up deciding I wanted a little more flexibility. I had a 2-year-old at the time when I decided to go the full time freelance route. And as a
Hmm.
sports writer, it's hard to balance that family life. So I thought freelancing would be. I had developed enough contacts where I felt like I could get enough work as a freelancer, that I was going to take a chance on myself and do it on my own. So been
Mm.
doing that since 2014.
Sure.
And it's been a lot of fun. My why now, the reason I keep doing it, it can be kind of frustrating. I mean, I have to work a lot harder, I think, as a freelancer because I don't have that steady paycheck that I had when I was on a salary at a
Absolutely.
newspaper. I
Right.
pretty much I get paid per story with a lot of my work,
Yep.
but I just feel like the newspaper, and I'm not a newspaper. I do write. I cover the Bengals for the Dayton Daily News. That's a newspaper. I just feel like the news industry has changed so much that it's kind of sad to me that I feel like some of the journalism is lost now. Everyone's on social media, just
Yep.
reading headlines or whatever somebody's posting on Twitter, and not reading not going and getting the full information. So I feel like that's been my goal, is just to make sure that the fans of the teams I'm covering still have that excellent coverage, can get to know the athletes and coaches,
Hmm.
and also just the ethics to it. I feel like I want to keep that going, and let people know that there is a right way to cover these sports teams, and do it in a way that makes you feel good about why you got into this in the first place. So long-winded answer there, but I'm sure you'll have more questions that I can kind of expand on that more if I wasn't clear on anything there.
No, you're good. You're good. That's a great start. Great start to the conversation. Yes, journalism has certainly changed quite a bit. No question about that. I've been in it for about 8 years. I started publication style as well in Atlanta, Georgia, covering high school lacrosse, basketball, baseball, football, playoffs, all type of stuff, covering those games, working those beats. And then I moved to Minnesota, covered 12 high schools, including in college, all type of sports from the heavy hitters of football all the way to rodeos. And I didn't know a damn thing about rodeos. I don't know anything about rodeos or fishing because I've never been. I've never been to any of those things. But you cover some interesting sports. You see some interesting things. But the freelance life is a hustle and bustle, right? You're working pretty much with networks, publications, whatever you can try to work with to try to get your money because your money is unless you do build up enough contacts, your money is not going to be consistent. So that is a credit to you to be able to do that. That's amazing. No question about that. I want to ask you because you said high school sophomore year, if I'm not mistaken, you went to Lakota East High
I
School.
did, yes.
Yeah, Dakota East High School, right, in Ohio as well. You grew up in Ohio
Yes.
and working in Ohio. I wanted to ask you, how special is it to be working in your hometown state? Because most people that get journalism degrees, Laurel, they have to go off. Like, I got my degree in Kennesaw State University in Atlanta, Georgia. I didn't grow up there, but I lived a good portion of my life there. And I had to move cross country to Minnesota to get my first full-time job. And then now I'm over here in upstate New York. Talk to me about how special it is to be able to stay there in your home state and be able to cover all those wonderful teams.
Yeah, it is pretty special. I had to start off not, well, I was in a small town of Ashland, Ohio, my first job,
Hmm.
which actually ended up being a great experience because it was a small paper with a D2. We were in a D2 market covering Ashland University. I got to cover a little bit of Browns and Indians games up in Cleveland. It was close enough that when there was time, I got that little perk of doing that and got
Hmm.
that little taste of professional sports coverage, and then ended up in a newspaper in Florida for 8 years. And there's something about Cincinnati specifically because I'm in the Cincinnati area, and it's just known as a city of like once you're there, it's hard to leave. Or if you, there's so many people that I feel like go away, ended up coming back to Cincinnati. I don't know what it's a
Sure.
good place to raise a family, but I came back. Well, large part of why I came back was family. But
Yeah.
Cincinnati is a great city that has, college. There's, Xavier University and University of Cincinnati. Miami
Yep.
University is not far away. And then, when I first came up, it was Bengals, Reds were the main professional sports. And then FC Cincinnati actually launched my second year. Actually, I think, yeah, in my second year being up here.
Hmm.
And I'm a I played soccer growing up. I love soccer, so that was right up my alley. And to be able to cover a professional soccer team, I think has been, I would say it's been a dream. I grew up going to these, it was like Cincinnati Silverbacks, this like little indoor team, and
Sure. Sure.
nothing ever stuck. It was always, you know, you'd get excited about this team coming and it just wouldn't work out. And FC Cincinnati, you could tell right away they had um, an ownership group that was invested in making this a big time professional team, and it was a lot of fun to get on in the ground as they were getting things going, being on the ground with them, getting that coverage started, and seeing it through up to now.
That's what's up. I like that. I like that. And I had to ask that because, obviously you growing up there in Ohio, I'm familiar with Cleveland, no question about that. Definitely not as familiar with Cincinnati. Columbus I'm familiar with too. Went to Ohio State for a couple football games, but I really, really love the Great American Ballpark. The Reds have one of the best baseball stadiums I've ever been to in my life.
It
I don't,
is
I
nice.
don't, I
Yeah.
don't. Is it still called the Great American Ballpark?
It is, yeah. So it's
Okay,
Great
cool.
American Insurance is like the sponsor, so that's
Got
what
you.
it's named after. But it is, I don't feel like it's a perfect name. I mean, Cincinnati Reds, like one of the,
It is.
first. major professional baseball teams, and yeah, it's a nice ballpark. I did cover a little bit of Reds when I first got started because I pretty much did everything, like you said, just to get in
Yes,
with different publications and outlets, and I kind of narrowed it down to I'm basically covering Bengals and FC Cincinnati for the most part now. I do still a little bit of high school, but the Reds I can kind of just enjoy as a fan. I wouldn't say
that's
I
awesome.
follow them all the time, but
Right.
it's something I can just kind of enjoy and not worry about. Oh no, what news do I have to worry about here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's great. That's awesome. I want to ask you, going to Ohio University, were there any other schools that could have persuaded you from going to Ohio University, or was you dead set on going there?
Well, I originally wanted, I don't know why, but I loved the city of Boston growing up. We would go there on some vacations, and I loved Boston, so I had it in mind that I was going to go to Boston. I don't know why it was going to be Boston College. That's like crazy
Hmm.
expensive.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
I I went to OU. I don't even know anything about the journalism program at Boston College, but I knew that OU had a really good journalism program. My high school journalism advisor was really pumping that up. There were like high school journalism workshops that he would send kids to. And I never actually made it to the workshop, but once I visited the campus, I was just in love with it. I was like, this is where I'm going. They have a good journalism program. It was just far enough away from home that I could still come home on weekends if I wanted, but not feel obligated to all the time. But
Right. Right.
it just felt like the perfect fit for me, just knowing that it was going to be a place where I could well, I mean, some of the alum that came out of there, Peter King was someone that I had followed, when he was
Sports
with Sports
Illustrated.
Illustrated at the time,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
there's just it seemed like a good place to connect with some of the alum that could really help me in my field. So it
I
worked
love
out.
that. Yes, it did. And I've read some of your pieces. I think you're fantastic at what you do. I always try to search for different sports writers, sports people, because I feel like you can use that to even improve your own writing. Some of my favorite writers um, coming off is Dave McEniman. He writes pretty well. Ramona Shelburne is another great writer that I love. That's on a national level for sure. When I was in Atlanta, Georgia, um, and reading some of theirs, I had Orlando Ledbetter who used to work for the who worked for the AJC, the Atlanta Journal Constitution. These are just people who I just love reading some of their stuff, the way that they word things and how descriptive they are in their writing. I just feel like that's how you get better as a writer. Is just being able to kind of not mimic, but also just kind of take bits and pieces from people's writing. And I think you do a fantastic job.
Well, thank you. I
You
appreciate that.
no, you're very welcome. Very welcome. Laura, I want to ask you some favorite questions. And you just give me the 411 off the rip based upon these favorite questions. Okay, so here we go. Favorite meal you like to cook?
Um, well, it's been a while, but I love to make paella. My husband and I
Mm,
went to Barcelona. Well, we went to Spain for our honeymoon, and I had the best paella there. And then I've been trying to perfect it ever since. But it's just a fun dish that we kind of cook together. It's been a while, but I would say
no,
paella.
that's amazing. That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome that you obviously went to Spain and paella. I know about it. I've just never tried it. I've never tried paella yet. That's on the bucket list for sure. I'm a huge taco person though, so
Yeah.
anything
Well,
tacos, I love. I can whip that up really good. But
I do
I'm
make a good burrito bar. I have some good
okay.
beans and yeah, good recipes for sides to go with the burrito bar. But
Okay, you may have to hit me up offline on that one. You have to hit me up in the DMs on that one. I'm always looking for stuff to make. Um, Favorite concert you've ever attended?
it's been a while. I keep saying so. My son is a huge Imagine Dragons fan. I keep saying we're gonna try to go to one. But honestly, the last concert I went to was a Dave Matthews Band concert.
Wow.
Probably in 2008 or so, down in
Ooh.
Florida. That was my kind of nostalgia concert I went to. I'm 43, so I don't know how old that was. I was in my upper
20s?
20s, yeah. And
Yeah,
so it was
yeah.
like a nostalgic thing for me because I loved going to Dave Matthews Band concerts in high school. So,
Wow. Well, let me just say this before I get to my favorite concert. Whatever you're doing, Laurel, keep doing it. Okay? Do it with a smile, because 43, you certainly don't look 43. I certainly wouldn't have said that. I'm not gonna say the number, but I definitely wouldn't have said that for sure. Okay, so keep doing what you're doing, please. It's amazing. My favorite concert would probably be, I would say, The Weekend. I'm a huge R&B person, so The Weekend, I like that kind of vibe. Yeah, I can rock out to that for sure. No question about that. Next question I have is favorite place you've ever traveled to. You might have already said it was Spain.
yeah, I think Barcelona probably was my top. I go to Maine pretty much every summer. My brother lives there, and I've always loved Maine, so that would be a
Mm,
close second. But Barcelona, maybe it was because it was my honeymoon. It was you're on cloud nine coming off a wedding.
sure.
So, but it was beautiful. I just loved like the old, like historic part, like feel to the city, but then you had um, the Mediterranean right there. So it was, I just loved it. It was beautiful.
I would definitely be hitting you up on tips on what to do because I've never been to Spain, and that's something that is on the bucket list for sure. I would say my favorite place is definitely Jamaica.
Oh.
Jamaica is my favorite place, no question about that. That was a beautiful, beautiful place to go to. Great food, great people, great vibes. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was fun. Um, we're sports people, and so I got to ask you the sports question. It's a two-parter. Favorite sport you like to watch on TV, and favorite sport you like to attend in person. They could be the same sport.
Um, so now I watch a lot of soccer and football just because I enjoy those two sports and that's what I cover. But I would say so. Like growing up, I actually hated watching soccer on TV. Like I wanted to be there I wanted to play but if I
Hmm.
wasn't going to play, I needed to be in the stadium. So
Sure,
I would say that that's proud. Like I still watch it because I like the game, and when you're out of the game, you'll get it however you can take it. But I would say I like watching soccer more in person, and football is the one that I can watch on TV and be completely fine watching it on TV or live. So I think you know I'm not like the rowdy, like the NFL crowd can get kind of rowdy. So I think maybe if
sure,
I was gonna go
sure.
as a fan, I would rather just watch it on TV.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. Being a sports journalist, if I'm not covering it or if I'm not really with the close seats, which I'm not gonna pay like a stupid amount of money to sit close, I'd rather just watch it on TV for football purposes. I'm a huge basketball fan. I know obviously, being in the Cincinnati area, college basketball is big out there, but not the pro scene unless it's Cleveland and the Cavaliers. But I'm a huge basketball person. Love basketball. Soccer. Let me guess your position. Were you you? I'm gonna say either midfielder or defender.
Yeah, I was a midfielder, but I was
I
also
figured
fast,
that.
so they made me play sweeper sometimes, and I didn't like it. But yeah, I
I
liked
figured
being
that.
in on all the action. So I was a center midfielder, and then I was really good at crossing, so I got moved to outside midfield. But
I
yeah, I liked
figured that.
running.
I figured that. I figured you were somebody that would probably all be all over the field playing
Yeah,
soccer. Just the way you talk about it, you talk about it so passionately. So I figured that you just love being on the field. And midfielders typically are on the field the longest,
yeah.
typically in soccer. So that's what's up. I like that. Last of the favorites, and like I said, I haven't spent a lot of time in Cincinnati, but um, what is your favorite place to eat out at?
Well, I really like Italian food. So there's this restaurant
Hmm,
called Soto. If you ever come to Cincinnati, they've got this braised short rib. Like so, I do a lot of like little plates there, but the braised short rib. I'm not even normally a short rib. I prefer like I'm boring. I like either a nice steak or chicken. Like I don't need ribs or, but the short rib is just it's fantastic there, and they've got all kinds of good stuff too. But
Mm.
I would say that's probably my favorite. There's a lot of good restaurants in Cincinnati that I don't. I live in the suburbs, so I don't get downtown a lot. But there are a lot of good restaurants in Cincinnati that either I are on my list and I just haven't gone to, or maybe there's a few that I have that I could give you a nice list sometime.
Please, please, Laurel. I really would appreciate that because I'm definitely going to come to Cincinnati for sure and just explore. I love traveling, love going to different cities. Got a chance to go to New Orleans this past February for the Super Bowl. Had a chance to cover that. So that was a new city. I've never been to New Orleans before prior to that. And I definitely love traveling. So obviously I'll have to say hello to you and go to that Soto place when I do come to Cincinnati for sure.
My husband would be so jealous to hear I talked to someone that got to go to the Super Bowl. We are in New Orleans specifically. He was really hoping the Bengals would make it this year, and then he could come with me. And he didn't even care about going to the game. He just wanted to like be down there during the Super Bowl, and like he wanted to try all the food and just
Oh my
explore. And
goodness.
yeah,
He would have loved it. I mean, the media party was off the chain. What they did, what they had little different booths where they set up, and you go there and you have a they had bowls where you try different foods. We tried alligator, we
oh,
tried chicken and gumbo, sausage, we tried jambalaya. There was Cajun chicken. They had food trucks in the back. They had Master P that showed up there. Obviously, he's a New Orleans native. So it was a great scene at that media party. Plus, you can keep getting drinks over and over again. And it was no tab, was nothing like that. They just treated the media with very special. Obviously, the press conferences was great. Media night was great. It was my first time, so
yeah.
won't be my last for sure. I definitely would love to go to San Francisco this next upcoming Super Bowl for sure.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to cover the Bengals Super Bowl out in LA in 2000.
Yep.
It was the 22, but 2021 season. So
Did he go with you? Did your husband go with you that day?
no, but we weren't
Oh,
expecting the Bengals. Like we were not prepared for that Bengals
oh,
Super Bowl run, and we actually
I
run a
got you.
high school or not high school. We run a youth basketball league at our church, so it was like right in the thick of
Hmm.
that. We could not both go, but it was also they were still coming out of COVID protocols, so it was not a normal Super Bowl.
Hmm.
So the Bengals have to get back to a Super Bowl so I can experience a full week of all. We did a media party. They rented out. Universal Studios. That was awesome. We got to go all there. Like it was just the media there. But the interviews during the week for that one were all on Zoom. The only in-person ones we had were the Friday before the game, and we were at
Hmm.
UCLA's track stadium. They were like the players were sitting like in the bleachers, and we're down standing on the track trying to talk to them.
Wow.
So it was
Wow.
not. And then even like we were never in the locker room that season, so I felt like I missed out on covering a true like championship run, and of course the Bengals didn't win
Sure.
anyway, so they've got to go again,
Sure.
and I got to experience it as a normal Super Bowl.
Well, that Super Bowl was in Inglewood, and and obviously after San Francisco, the very next year, Super Bowl 61 is coming back to Inglewood. So maybe that might be the year the Bengals could go. Could be San Francisco, could be this year too. But I'm just saying it'll be back in Inglewood where the Bengals went to the Super Bowl to play the Rams.
That would be kind of full circle, get it done that
Right?
time.
Right? No doubt. No doubt. I'm just throwing it out there. But that's amazing. That's awesome. Let's talk about your day to day. You say you cover full time pretty much FC Cincy, which is soccer, and then you also do freelance for the Bengals. Now, obviously, no 2 days for a journalist is ever the same.
Yep.
We're always doing different things, always writing different stories, different angles, talking to different people. I mean, sources is our lifeline. Without sources, we are pretty much dead as journalists. That's just the way it is. So, tell me about your process of, just getting ready day to day, doing different things. When do you start? When do you finish? Because, journalism is not a conventional schedule, especially for a sports journalist. We work nights and weekends predominantly. That's when soccer normally plays. And the Bengals play early in the afternoon and practice almost every day. So tell me, what is your day to day like?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, these last few weeks have been I've been all over the place. It's
Hmm.
not been my normal routine. So I've kind of probably highlighted the fact that it's been so perfect covering FC Cincinnati and Bengals because FC Cincinnati is always in the morning with their training and media stuff, and then Bengals is always in the afternoon. Well, this year the
Hmm.
Bengals decided training camp was going to be in the morning, so it's been really hard to balance the two these last few
Sure,
weeks. I
sure.
think that they're going back to their regular practice schedule after training camp, so it won't be an issue. But um, I'll go to what my normal when it is like regular season. It does work out normally that I start my day at FC Cincinnati. We get our little 15-minute viewing window. I pretty much am going just to see who's hurt and who's not, and it almost I know a lot of people are like, man, because I drive 35 minutes just to go to 15 minutes of practice. We're not guaranteed interviews every day. You
Mm.
have to request them 24 hours in advance, and if they're playing a midweek game, the schedule's just it's hard to get some of those interviews during the week. So,
Sure.
but I still find value in those 15 minutes because MLS is so different from the NFL. They do not report injuries the way that they do in the NFL. Like
Right.
and that's I mean the clubs. I don't blame them. MLS doesn't crack down on it and tell them you have to do it this way. But I
Right.
just feel
Right.
like there's so many people that are following me for. I mean, it's mostly so there's this. It's called So Rare. It's basically fantasy soccer, but they're like picking digital cards and I don't know. There's people are investing into this game and in these players, and they want to know
Right.
what who's in and who's out. So I have subscribed. My website, Queen City Press. I founded that. It's through Patreon.
Yep.
I normally do like a training notebook, and I update it. It's a weekly file, and I update it every day. Um, and they can just track who. Okay, it looks like this guy's out of training this week, so I'm not going to count on him playing, and I'm not going to put him in my lineup. But people subscribe just for those training notes because you can't find it anywhere. No one else is really putting that information out consistently. So
For
I
sure.
I do that, and then whatever interviews. I really like I said I like telling the stories of the athletes. So writing features is what I really love to do. I'm of course
Yeah.
always following whatever news needs to be reported, but telling the stories behind the players and athlete and coaches and anyone connected to the team that fans are interested in. That's my bread and butter. So I try to do sit down interviews whenever I can and get in depth with the players, kind of what makes them tick, what's their background, kind of thing. But then normally I get out of there and go straight to downtown Cincinnati for Bengals stuff. But yeah, this difference with Bengals coverage is we have open locker room every day, so I know I'm
Absolutely.
gonna get multiple interviews every day. So I'm
Yeah.
always, you have to come prepared with an idea of, okay, here's who I'm gonna target today. Who haven't I written about? There's 90 guys on a roster that I can talk to today. So,
Hmm.
so yeah, you go in with, and of course that's a smaller roster during the season, but still 53-man roster, and then the practice squad. That's plenty of stories to tell. So you come
Plenty.
prepared. You come prepared with some ideas of, you know, you're kind of tracking different trends and injuries um, and yeah, you come prepared with ideas, and then sometimes you're not going to get those guys, so you have to be able to react on the fly.
Plan
So
B, C, D, all the above. Right.
yeah, so you have to come as prepared as you can. But yeah, and then I'm pretty much writing a story every day from Bengals practices and media
Okay.
availability, and so yeah, I keep busy. But I don't know if I answered your question.
No, I think you did. I think you did because you told me about what your day to day is, right? And you told me that it's just the grind. The grind. I mean, when both of those sports are going, they're going. Because if I'm not mistaken, FC Cincy plays from what, February all the way to October, and we're talking about if they make the playoffs, it could be a little longer. So that's an 8 month stretch of games, and not to mention they have U.S. Open and they have those friendly games in between the sessions, right? And then you have football that typically gets started with the draft, February obviously Super Bowl if the Bengals are in it, but the the combine starts in March. Then you got the draft in April. Then May is when the schedule comes out. Whoop, there it is. Now you got training camp in July, and here we are in August, about to start preseason, our first preseason game. So it can get crazy because right now you're covering both with FC Cincy and the Bengals. So I totally understand that. But it's a great segue, Laurel, because I want to talk about mental health and work-life balance. Obviously, a lot of journalists that I know, and probably you have met too, have stepped away from this industry because of their mental health. They've either had breakdowns or their work-life balance, they just couldn't get it right. When you're doing sports and journalism, it can be a grind, mentally, physically. It can also mean that you're away from your family, your loved ones. You don't get to travel much because sports plays on holiday time. Especially if you're covering high school sports or college sports, they play these long tournaments. You just can't go off for multiple days and do stuff like that, which I've done for years. Talk to me about how you keep your mental health strong, but also keep that work-life balance, right? You have a husband, you say you have kids, you have mom, dad, family there, friends, but you also need some Laurel time too, to yourself, all right? You got to have some time to yourself. So how do you balance all of that and still keep your mental health strong?
Yeah, it's hard. I think one thing that probably I've learned throughout the last 10 years or so as a freelancer and really being on social media as much as I
Hmm.
am. I think
Hmm.
earlier in my career, I would take the comments that people would make. Like, people are just mean on social media just because I don't even know. It's anonymous. They can say whatever they want, not feel bad
Sure.
about it, but they don't like something that you wrote, or just some of the comments that are just out there.
Right.
I I
Right.
would I would spend way too much time trying to defend myself, and then I noticed some of the fans that were following me would get put off by how defensive I was. And so I've kind of learned just to ignore it. And I think that's really helped my mental health, is just, realizing that there's just people that are mean and they don't
Hmm.
understand they don't know the work that I put in.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to feel like I defend myself. I have more than 1,000 subscribers that are paying for my content. They clearly like my work enough to pay me to keep reading it, and I hope that keeps growing.
Sure.
But I feel like that is my just like I don't need to defend myself. I have people that are showing that they appreciate what I do by paying to read my content, and so just if there are individuals that I find keep attacking, I'll just mute them, and that's helped a lot. As far as like the balance, just trying to find time to like, I try to go work out or go for runs. I think that really, if I especially the days that I get a run in, it just I can kind of, it's my time to myself, my thoughts, and I can just like let everything go. But yeah, you've got to find time to do that. Because I can notice like when I have all these, especially now when I'm trying to balance the two sports. I am so busy. I find like if I'm getting really short with my kids and like easily yelling at them, I'm like, okay, maybe I need to go for a run or something. I need to do something like
Sure.
just kind of
Sure.
realizing, kind of noticing those little cues of like you need to step back a little bit. Or I told my editor at the Dayton Daily News, like, I need this Sunday off. Like, I'm gonna be working every Sunday pretty much during the season. I
Hmm.
just need this Sunday to not go to Bengals training camp. And that he was like, yeah, that's fine. Take a day. Like, so just being willing to admit when you need to step back. I think
Hmm.
that's hard, because especially when well, if I go to Bengals training camp, I'm gonna have a story, and that's money in my pocket. If I don't
Hmm.
go, I don't get a story. But sometimes you just got to step back, and that's really why I love that aspect of freelancing, is that I can say no, I can't do that today, and
Hmm.
there's no one checking a time clock, or
Hmm.
I can take time out of the middle of my day to go. I especially in the summer with kids home from school. I don't want them on just sitting in front of a screen all day. So we have Kings Island amusement park here. I'll just
Yep.
take my
One
kids
of the,
for
one of the
lunch.
best amusement parks.
Yeah, it's
No
nice.
question.
So we'll go for lunch, and because we have a meal plan there, so we'll go get our meal that is already paid for, go on a few rides, and come back. And that's I, I love that aspect of it, that I can take that time. It's hard sometimes to fit it in, but it's possible.
Yeah, it's a question worth asking, Laura. It really is. Because, we all deal with it. Everybody has different circumstances that they have to heed to, in their life, depending on what their life is about. But I love the fact of what you said about taking a day off, being a freelancer. Yes, I'm a freelancer as well. I love going to different publications. I typically call publications, hey, do you need this? Do you want this? Or if I got an idea, I'll shoot them my idea. Some have shot me down, some have accepted it. It is what it is. And I love that. I love having that freedom. Because I felt like sometimes when I worked in the publications that, some of my ideas would get shot down and you have to work on certain things that your boss tells you to work on. And I understand the professionalism in that. But I also wanted to have more freedom to cover not just high school and college. For me personally, I wanted to cover professional. I wanted to do that. I wanted to be able to build sources up there. And when I was in Minnesota, I had a chance to cover the Wolves. I had the chance to cover the Frost. I had a chance to cover the Aurora FC, the women's soccer team out there. That's big time. And just do different things like that because I wanted to be able to get more experience covering, and which led me to the Super Bowl of linking up with a network that I was able to work with and cover that. And I love that flexibility as a freelancer, but you are also right. You also mentioned something else. If you do say that you want a day off and you cut that day off from you, you're also taking money out of your pocket. And that is something that I think about all the time. But you have to think about that because it's like, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to keep your mental health strong? Because you don't want to run yourself into the damn ground. You don't want to do that, right? And especially in your position, you have a lot going on. Like you said, you're a mom, you're a wife, you have family, you have stuff like that. You have you. You got to be able to be like, okay, I can function doing wearing all these hats, right? I'm a bachelor, so I'm kind of by myself. You know what I mean? So it's a lot easier for me. But it's certainly a question that is worth asking, but it also leads into this question, which is advice. What advice would you give someone if someone came up to you, Laura, and said, "Hey, I would love to be a sports journalist. Tell me about the freelancing life, or tell me just about the life in general of being a sports journalist." What kind of advice would you share with that individual?
I would say the most important thing is just building a network and just connecting with as many people. I mean, even you, just like having me on a podcast. Now we have a connection, maybe we can help each other someday. Like reaching out
Absolutely.
to fellow journalists, definitely studying. If there's journalists that you particularly enjoy reading their content or watching them on TV or whatever it is, like just kind of study them, and maybe you want to have your own style, but you can learn things like you were saying earlier. You can
Hmm.
learn things from studying other people, but then
Yes.
maybe try to connect with that writer or media person, whatever they're doing. Um, you know, if you had, if you're in college, then reach out to alumni from your college, or just building those connections. I mean, that's really, I can credit my freelance career to the networking I was able to do. And I'll be frank, like I'm kind of an introvert. People probably are wondering, like, why is this introvert so good at her job in journalism, where she's,
Mm.
networking is a big thing. But if I could do it, other people can too. I think
Mm.
when you're in your personal life more of an introvert, sometimes you can invest more like in your career being something else. Um,
Sure.
so
Sure.
yeah, I would just say because basically I was able to connect with some alum from OU that were working at the Dayton Daily News, and they got me on as a freelancer and ended up liking my work. And I started covering the Bengals as just like a secondary writer, just helping out on home games and Wednesdays when they had all their big press conferences. And when that guy ended up leaving, the main beat writer, then they needed someone to do the job full time, but they, they benefit from me not having, they don't have to pay my benefits because I'm a freelancer. So I'm
Right.
basically full time covering the Bengals for them as a freelancer. But yeah, that all goes back to just networking. And, when I first started freelancing, I was working for a ton of different players. So it's just trying to, make ends meet. And
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
you as you keep doing it and people start trusting your work, like now I've been able to kind of, I used to write for Lacrosse magazine. I enjoyed that. I did it for almost a decade, and it was steady work, and totally respect all the people that I worked with there. But it was tough because it was like every Sunday I had to put together these high school rankings, and I knew I couldn't take a Sunday off. And like it just got to be on top of everything else I was doing. It was like, this was probably the one thing I need to cut. So I was able to eventually drop that and feel like, okay, I'm not missing that money because I'm making more now covering the Bengals than I was.
Right.
And
Right.
so yeah, just, using the networking to find work opportunities. Like if you're just starting out, freelancing is, a great option. Just being willing to cover just about anything. Like there's newspapers and outlets that are always looking for high school, sports coverage and help with
Without
their
question.
coverage. So
Yes.
that's a great way to get in, and just being willing to, you know, not be too good for anything. I think a lot of people, especially coming out of college, have this idea they're going to go straight to ESPN and, they're going to cover professional sports right away. Well, you have to be willing to grind it out, on a smaller level. Sometimes there are some that are that good that can maybe make that jump right away, but
Hmm.
just being willing to do whatever it takes to get experience and not, just basically swallowing your pride and not feeling like you're too big for anything.
I love that. Love that take. Because, like I said, I've covered rodeos. I've covered fishing tournaments. I don't know anything about fishing. Never been fishing in my life. Never been on a horse or bull in my life to be covering rodeos. But it's not too big for me to cover it. Networking is key. But a lot of people sometimes just don't know how to get out of the car. They don't know how to start the car. They don't know how to get out and make that initial connection because it seems like you said something that was very interesting. You said you're a natural introvert, but you also seem that you're a go-getter too. And what I mean by that is when you see opportunity, you seek it, and you're not one to let it pass you by. And that's something that is again a skill. It's a skill that can be learned, but you either have it or you don't. And you're either willing to learn it or you're not. And that's what you got to be. As a freelancer, you got to be a go-getter. You got to be a hustler. And it's a way of networking. It's a way of getting jobs. It's a way of doing what you love to do. Because, like you said, you don't have steady income. You don't have benefits. You're not going to have that consistent work unless you do these things. But a lot of people don't know where to start when it comes to that networking process. But networking is very key. I'm very shocked you said you was an introvert because I'm. This has been a free flowing conversation with you and I, and we've been on this thing for over 40 plus minutes, and I love it. So,
I'm just a
but
natural. If I have the option to go out and do something or just stay home, I'm good at home. like,
I
like
got
I
you.
guess yeah. I kind
Okay.
of keep like personal things. I like to keep it to myself. But I don't know. It's something about just because I have that passion for sports and for journalism. Like I guess I'm able to kind of shed that when I go into work mode.
I love that. No, I love it. And please keep that. Keep that fire. Keep that passion. We have reached the portion of my podcast, Laurel, that we're now going to do my interactive game called This or That. So it's a game I like to play with all of my guests here on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It's pretty simple. I'm going to throw some things at you, and you get to choose this or that. So, are you ready?
Yep, go for it.
Here, here we go. Out of these two restaurants, Which restaurant would you rather eat at? KFC or Popeyes?
Ooh. I would have to say KFC. I'm just not the like Cajun like yeah. My kids would be so upset. They love Popeyes. But,
Well, shout out to your wonderful kids because they know what time it is. Popeyes is definitely the move, but KFC is good too. Don't get me wrong, they got great mac and cheese.
yeah.
Great mac and cheese. When it comes to chicken wings, which flavor out of these two choices would you rather put on a wing? Barbecue or lemon pepper?
Ooh. Lemon pepper. Yeah.
Okay. Do you like your wings wet or dry?
Um, I don't like messy, so dry. But I had to think. I
Okay.
love barbecue sauce, but on wings, like I know that's how wings are. They're gonna be messy, so you probably
Yeah.
should just commit to the messiness. But I just don't
Hmm.
like having the sauce all over my hands.
I feel that. Listen, and no judgment here. Okay, no judgment, Laurel. Listen, you do you. Okay, and I want to ask you this: do you like your wings bone in or boneless?
Boneless. I don't like to
So
work
you
for my food.
got you. So you like glorified chicken nuggets, is what we're saying.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, okay. Listen, that's now. Are you a dipper, or do you dip it in sauce and then eat it?
I could, yeah, I will do that.
Okay, got you, got you. Now, do you eat your boneless wings with a fork?
No, not the boneless.
Okay,
I would
good.
probably maybe if it had the bone, I could. No, I don't. I wouldn't do a fork still.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. I'm gonna ask you these next five questions, and they have to do with music concerts you rather go see. Music concerts. What would you say is your top genre of music, or do you listen to everything?
So I pretty much listen to what my kids listen to. So it's a lot of kids pop, and I'm not the one to ask the music questions to. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. Like, so my daughter likes Taylor Swift, and I used to not like Taylor Swift, but we listened to it so much that now I kind of like Taylor Swift.
Okay,
My son, I mentioned he loves Imagine Dragons, so and Linkin Park. So that I do like that he's liking Linkin Park now because I did like I can go with that. I kind of just I guess anything but country I probably would listen to.
okay.
Although,
Now,
so Taylor Swift, when it gets into the country, we gotta pass that by.
I know that's right. I know it. Oh, you said Kids Bop. I
I
love
know
that.
that's what
I
we listen
love that.
to.
I love that. That is awesome. Okay, so here's the first one then. The first one is
He's like,
which,
oh, who am I asking this to?
right, right. Which music concert would you rather go see? Would you rather go see Beyonce or Rihanna?
Beyonce. I think I'd go
Okay,
Beyonce.
okay. I like that. Which music concert would you rather go see? Would you rather go see Kendrick Lamar or Drake?
I think was Kendrick Lamar. I feel like he was one of the ones that was at the Super Bowl that I went
He
to.
was.
Yeah, I loved that Super Bowl performance. I'm gonna go with Kendrick just because that brings up the good memories.
Yeah, that LA
That
show that you went to with the
was so
Bengals was one of
good.
the best
That
halftime
that
shows.
was awesome.
No question about that. And Kendrick Lamar was at the New Orleans. He headlined the New Orleans Super Bowl. So yes, absolutely. Okay. Which music concert would you rather go see? Would you rather go see Alicia Keys or would you rather go see Ariana Grande?
Ariana Grande. We'll go with. I don't know why.
Ariana
I'm just gonna
Grande?
go with that one.
Okay. Okay, we'll roll with that. We'll roll with that. Now, this is kind of an older vibe. Which music concert would you rather go see? Two of my favorite bands, Metallica or Pearl Jam?
Pearl Jam.
Ooh, you said that quick. Okay. You Pearl Jam
It's
fan,
not
huh?
my thing, but I do like Pearl Jam.
Okay. You got some good taste in music then, because I love both of them. That's what's up. Which music concert, last one, which music concert would you rather go see? Would you rather go see Aerosmith or the Eagles?
Uh, Aerosmith. We'll go with Aerosmith. I don't know. It just brings back. I don't know.
You let out a huge sigh and it was like, ah. And
Well,
then you said, then you was
I
like,
don't know. I
ah.
kind of get annoyed by Aerosmith sometimes, but I don't know.
I got you. I got you. I totally understand. Okay. You did very good for the music. I want to ask you these next two are sports questions. Which sport would you rather watch on TV? Basketball or hockey?
Basketball. I used to love
Okay.
college basketball. When you were talking about, I do want to say, if you ever get to Ohio, try to go to a UD basketball, University of Dayton basketball. That
Dayton.
is like
Yeah.
the best basketball atmosphere I've been to in college. Like,
They typically play the first four in that
yeah,
stadium all the time.
it's awesome. It's so much fun.
I'm thinking that this particular upcoming season, I'm going to be doing the first and second round in Buffalo because I'm in upstate New York, and Buffalo is hosting the first and second rounds of the tournament. So I'm looking forward to doing that for sure. Thinking I'm going to get a chance to do that. That's for sure. But yeah, you're right. Dayton, what they're called the Flyers, right?
Yep,
Dayton
the
Flyers.
Flyers.
Yeah,
Yep,
absolutely. Which sport would you rather play? Badminton or bowling?
bowling.
Are you a good bowler?
I no, I'm not good at either, but I'm probably worse at badminton.
Okay, okay. Well, do you need the bumpers?
No, I can get by without the bumpers. I'm just not going to get a very high score.
That's okay. That's all right. You will be shocked to hear how many adults say they need the bumpers
Yeah,
in
but
bowling.
it's
And
fun. I think bowling is fun. I just
yes, absolutely. Especially with some cold beverages. It could be a whole lot more fun. That's for sure.
that's true.
Um, this next question has to do with desserts. Do you like desserts?
Oh, I have a major sweet tooth.
Okay. So what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna name four categories of desserts. Okay. You have to choose one of these that you'll never eat again. So here we go.
No.
The first category is cookies. The next category is candy. The next category is ice cream. The last category is group together. Cake slash pies. Which one are you getting rid of?
Hmm. I'm not a big cake person, but I do like pies. um, hmm. Maybe cookies.
Okay, okay, I like that. Now, what's your favorite ice cream?
I'm a big, well, we have Grater's ice cream in Cincinnati, so they have any flavor from there. It's very good. If you come to Cincinnati, go to Grater's. But I do like
Okay.
Ben and Jerry's fish food. That's my
Say,
favorite.
say what?
Ben and Jerry's fish food. So it's like it's PH like fish like the band, but
Wow.
it's chocolate with you never had fish food? Okay, you got to
Um,
get some.
mm-mm, mm-mm.
Yeah, it's chocolate with marshmallow and caramel ribbons with these little chocolate fish like candies.
Wow. Okay. No,
It's
no,
good.
I've never had that. Now, listen, I have had Ben and Jerry's, the brand, but I normally get milk and cookies, if you are familiar with that.
I do either half baked or fish food. Those are my
Half baked fish
favorite.
food. Okay, I'm familiar with half baked.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Okay. Do you like potato chips?
Yeah, I'm more
Okay,
of a sweet
so
tooth, but I'll go with potato chips.
this is the same format. You have to choose one of these brands, name four. One of these brands you have to eliminate. So here we go. First one is Pringles. The next one is Lay's. The third one is Ruffles. The last one is Doritos. Which one are you getting rid of, Laurel?
Lay's. Yeah.
I would say you on point like a period. That's what
I
I would
like
say.
I like the Ruffles and Pringles. All those, yeah, good
Da-
stuff.
Damn it, Laurel, you are on point like a period. You. Hey, we could be besties now. We could be besties now. We good. I love that. I absolutely love that. Now, which my favorite chip of all time is Ruffles sour cream and cheddar.
Those are my favorites.
Stop it. Are you serious?
No, those are my favorite. My second favorite would probably be the sour cream and onion Pringles.
Yep. Yep. I got you. I got you. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, you got some good taste. There's no question about that. And you did very good on the this or that. Very good. Now, I have two top four questions coming up. The first top four question is called bucket list. I would like for you to give me a top four list of events or stories that you would like to cover or write in your journalism career that you haven't done yet.
Well, I would like to cover a winning Super Bowl, like the team that I'm covering. I would like them to win because it's just more fun.
Okay.
They're happier.
Okay.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
you said top four.
I did. I
Okay.
did.
That would, mm, yeah, that'd probably be number one. I mean, if you're a sports writer, the Super Bowl is like the pinnacle. So,
It is.
then, and I know I'm kind of cheating there because I did get to at least cover a Super Bowl, but I would love. So, FC Cincinnati made it to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2023. They didn't make it to MLS Cup, and it would have been at
Right.
home if they did. So, I would like to cover them going to an MLS Cup. Trying to think what else. I mean, covering an. I used to love covering college basketball. I don't really do it now, but an NCAA Final Four would be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think, and yeah, I don't really do baseball, but I mean, a World Series would be, you know, I guess kind of cool.
I'm glad you put that at four because that's probably way, way far out for sure. No question. I love the Reds. Don't get me wrong. I love Cincinnati Reds, but they are in a very, very tough division with the Brewers and the Cubs. Very tough. No question about that. But I love the fact that you said the Super Bowl for the Bengals because um, Joe Burrow is probably my favorite quarterback, to be honest with you. And I love Mahomes, don't get me wrong, too, but he's the only one that has beaten Mahomes in the playoffs. Um, I believe in the AFC, if I'm not mistaken. The other quarterbacks that have beaten him have been Brady and Hurts, if I'm not mistaken, because Mahomes has lost a couple Super Bowls. But other than that, and he lost to Brady in the AFC Championship. But yeah, Brady and Hurts has been the only ones, and Burrow is the only other one to beat him in the playoffs. So, but hey, Laurel, they got to get that defense right. I mean, is Trey Hendrickson signed yet?
I mean, he's under contract. They just haven't gotten the extension he wants done. So he's there at least and helping kind of bring along rookie Shamar Stewart. He's working with him a lot, but not
Mm,
practicing, and they got to get that done. They
they
both
do.
want it. Like
They
they've both admitted. Like he said he just wants the long term deal, like and security for his family. I think, the holdup is the guarantees, which the Bengals are always sticklers on the guarantees. So they got to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, they do because they're really messing up a good thing. I mean, you do not want to waste the years of Joe Burrow. Obviously, Jamar Chase is big time. They franchise tag T Higgins. I don't know how many more times they're gonna be able to franchise tag him for
But he
sure.
did, he
Uh,
got his long term deal in March when Jamar got his. So
did he?
that was,
Did he?
yeah.
Okay, okay.
So they're good there.
I thought they hit him with the tag first.
They
I might have been
did.
wrong.
They did.
Okay,
But they got the long
got you.
term deal done. So,
Okay, well then let's get trade done. Let's get trade done and let's just move on and
yeah.
get to the season. Do you travel for Bengals games or do you just stay in Cincinnati?
I only travel during the playoffs, so it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Mm.
So I'm not
Oh,
traveling all through the year, but then I get to go during the fun time. So
okay, okay, that's awesome. That's awesome here. Now, this next top four question has to do with the city of Cincinnati. When I do come back and touch down, which I most certainly will, what is four things that I should do when I land in the city of Cincinnati?
well, I mean, you mentioned Great American Ballpark, so you got to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And let's
Mm-hmm.
see. So OTR is like over the Rhine. It's kind of like where all the good like bars and more breweries and good restaurants. Like there's a lot of good. That's kind of like the hot spot to go to.
Mm-hmm.
So go there. you gotta go to Kings Island. It's like not in downtown Cincinnati, but it's a lot of fun. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Well, I guess yeah. You got well. I gotta tell you, you gotta go to an FC Cincinnati game. Like even if you don't like soccer, that
Hmm.
atmosphere and the stadium there, it's a world class stadium, and you'll hear it from anyone. Like people love it, so I would definitely
Hmm.
go to make sure you go to a game at TQL Stadium if you can.
I certainly will. So I've definitely because now, and I missed the opportunity to do it because I wasn't in Minneapolis living there for certain. But now that I'm covering teams on a professional level and not just high school level like I was doing in Atlanta, when I do come to Cincinnati, I don't know how or if you can make this happen, but I would like to shadow you at an FC Cincy game.
Yeah, we'll make it happen.
I would like that. The reason being is I've never covered a professional soccer game before, and I know it's a little different. I mean, I've
It
done
is.
NBA, obviously NFL, haven't done baseball, but I'm sure a soccer game professionally is a little bit different than covering some of those other organization type games as far as the media goes, as far as, where we sit or where we stand on the field or what the media room is like, locker room is like, and all
Yeah,
this, that, and the third. So I would love to do that.
yeah. That it would be. I mean, they're always looking for more, coverage of MLS. So I'm sure they would be happy
Hmm.
to have you
Hmm.
there.
Okay, that's what's up. I love that. Okay. Now, what is some
But also,
advice
I do need to
for
say,
that? Oh, go ahead. I'm
if you
sorry. Go
are a
ahead.
zoo person, I should give a shout out to the Cincinnati Zoo. If you are a zoo person, you should go to the zoo.
Yes, I'm definitely someone who likes to visit those places as well. Definitely love animals for sure. I want to ask this next question because we talked about advice you would give as far as networking within the industry and doing that. But what is some advice that someone gave you that you hold on dearly to?
Oh man, I feel like I've gotten so much advice over the years, and I've kind of gotten to the point where I do have a lot of people reaching out to me for advice. I'm trying to think. Let's see. Probably just you kind of have to fight for yourself in this business. So I think that was something
Mm,
that some of my mentors in college and even going back to high school, I always learned that you gotta like, especially like with access, and that's something that in MLS we struggle with a lot because we don't have open locker rooms. And in the
right,
NFL last year, they tried to the Bengals basically. Some of the teams were trying to get media out of the locker room, so they wanted to do interviews out of the locker room, and it's like, I'm just trying to do my job here. So being like,
right,
I think everyone kind of stood up in that situation and made clear that this isn't like conducive to what we need to do for our jobs to give the best coverage for you guys, and also just
right,
that accountability that we have if we're writing about these players in a negative way. We're right there, they can come talk to us like, and we've asked them questions about it. So just being fighting for the access that will help you do your job. Fighting if someone's not treating you fairly in the or yeah, just I would say stand up for yourself, and yeah, be willing to fight for what's right,
mm,
and like the ethics of things as well.
okay. This is a great bonus question that just came up in my mind because I'm a huge advocate for women sports reporters. I mean, I'm a huge advocate for males too. I just love our industry as a whole. I love what we bring to the table. I love the stories that people write. I love the things that can happen in sports because it's so unpredictable. But I'm a huge advocate for women sports reporters because a lot of the times throughout my 8 years that I've been in it, I've covered state championships, section championships, all types of games from the high school, college, and professional level. And what you rarely see is women. You definitely don't see them on a local level or high school time. You may see them more professionally, but you don't see them in a lot of professional type sports. That's for sure. And sometimes you get kind of this stigma that, because they didn't play,
Yep.
they shouldn't cover it, or they just don't get the opportunities allocated to them to cover some of these sports. Talk to me about if you have any kind of perspective on women's sports reporting and the inequalities of it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would like to see more females in the field. I don't feel like I notice it so much now. I mean, maybe it's because I'm kind of a veteran reporter, but I did feel like early in my career, like I would see comments on social media like, "What do you know? You never played football." Like, or and sometimes it would be even like the headline, and I didn't even write the headline. That would really bother me. Like they'd say I don't know what I'm talking about because the headline was poorly written. I'm like, but
Right,
I feel like you do have to kind of prove yourself that you know your stuff a little bit more than maybe a man that has played the sport and knows the intricacies a little bit more. So there are times like early in my career when I was covering Mets or Dodgers spring training. I can't remember. It, there were a couple instances where it just felt like the players were almost kind of wanting to tease you because they know that you're not necessarily as comfortable as maybe
right,
a man is used
right,
to being in the men's locker room. But
right.
I think for the most part, like maybe it's just that I'm around really like good teams right now that are filled with good characters. It hasn't been really an issue of just like feeling like they're trying to taunt you or like purposely make you feel more uncomfortable in those situations. But I think just maybe part of that's just being used to my environment and feeling more comfortable as I've gotten, you know, developed more sources and the players kind of know me a little bit more because I've been around for so long now. So I think early in your career, like I would always make sure I was dressed professionally. I feel like I felt like I needed to always look professional. Where some of the guys that would be covering the teams would be wearing their shorts and t-shirts and stuff. I just felt like I, and that was more I think probably just being young in my career, wanting to prove myself. But
Yeah.
I do think it's important, that you do dress professionally still. I don't know if that's a female thing or anything, but yeah, I mean, there's things you kind of have to overcome, but I think as you get used to it, it's I wouldn't say it's like anything I feel on a daily basis at all that it's like I'm treated differently or anything.
Okay. No, I appreciate that perspective. I do. I mean, obviously, it's gotten a lot better from, back when,
Yeah,
right? Because, obviously there wasn't many women sports people at all, let alone reporters. Now we have analysts, we have broadcasters, we have reporters, we have more anchors, hosts, now that's doing it in here, and as it should be. It should be because men are not the only one that watches sports. 35% or more make up our women consumers that consume sports, that watch sports, that pay for different kind of streaming services to watch sports like that. So I just feel that as a man, we don't get that stigma. We don't get to say, well, you didn't play, so you can't do that. And some of the men didn't play either, to be
yeah,
honest with you either. So but they still do a great job, and the ladies do a great job as well. So I just feel like sometimes you get an unfair shake.
sorry,
And I've
my
seen it. I've
battery.
seen it.
I'm gonna
Oh,
plug
you're
my
good.
battery. My
You're
sorry,
good. You're
it's
good.
like
No,
telling
you're
me my
good.
battery's low. Hold on,
You're
just
good. No, but we are pretty much at the end of the podcast episode, for sure. And listen, this has been a really, really dope conversation, Laurel, with you. I mean, obviously, learn about your why, learn about who you are, and what you do growing up in Ohio and going to Athens, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, Ashland, Ohio, pretty much all over Ohio, writing sports, covering sports for a plethora of different publications from AP to now Queen City Press, which you founded, and stuff like that. It's just amazing to be able to talk to you and hear your story and read your stuff because I think you're really good at what you do. And I'm a new fan of yours. I really, really hope that we stay in touch, in contact. And my final question to you is there anything else you would like to add about the job, yourself, or anything at all before we conclude?
Um, no, I mean, I think you just have to be prepared for the grind when you're in this business, and I don't think anyone goes into it. I wouldn't think anyone would go into it not realizing that. Like everyone knows, sports is kind of, you know, the games are on the weekends a lot of nights, so um, you kind of go into that and expect it, and you figure out ways to find that balance that we talked about with work and life, and um, I think that's the main thing is just you can do it. I think that's the thing. Like um, a lot of people worry about like, well, I want to have a family. How can I do it? But you can make it work. It's possible. So I think I would like to encourage anyone that is concerned about that aspect of it. Is yeah, it's hard, but as long as you have someone, if you're gonna have a family, just make sure that they're supportive of what you're doing and understand the
Absolutely.
commitment to it. So I think that's been a big thing that's really helped me. Is my husband actually started out as a sports writer too, so he totally understood. Now he's a data analyst, but um, yeah, he that helped that he kind of understood what I was gonna be committing to. So
I love that. I love that. And like I said, I've loved this conversation. I want you to enjoy the rest of your Friday afternoon and enjoy your weekend too. And you and I will most certainly be in touch. Again, thank you for allocating your time to being on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast.
thank you. I look forward to if you come to Cincinnati, I'm gonna definitely look me up and I'll get you to that FC Cincinnati press box.
That sounds good to me. Take care, Laura.
You too. Bye.
Yeet.